to A Curtain Call. I'm Finn.
And I'm Max.
And today we will be discussing the musical Next to Normal.
So, before we begin, we should probably go over trigger warnings, such as discussions of suicide, self-harm, mental issues, minor death, and drug usage.
So, before we start talking about the plot of the musical, I would like to address that because it is a musical, there are a lot of songs, but we will not be discussing most of them, just in order to keep the plot more, our discussion of the plot moving forward better. Yeah.
That's funny enough to keep in.
So, but now we will discuss the characters and the plot.
Musical follows Diana Goodman and her family. She's a suburban wife and a mother with bipolar disorder. This obviously puts a lot of strain on the family.
Now, the musical begins with the son coming home late at night or early in the morning. I can't fully remember.
Morning.
Morning.
Night.
One of the two. And Diana is very worried about him, and he tells her, "You gotta let go, Mom," which is a reference to a...
And then in the morning, we see Natalie and Diana. Natalie being Diana's daughter, obviously, and Natalie is very quickly shown to be an overachiever. She's getting ready for school, and she's got a bunch of crap in her arm.
The husband, Dan, is introduced as Diana is making sandwiches just all over the kitchen.
A real mess.
It is. And then we cut to the school.
We cut to the school, and Natalie is, I guess, in a private room playing on the piano. That, or it's just the band room in general. It's hard to tell. But we meet Henry there, and he's introduced kind of like a creep, but a cute creep, I guess.
He's lovable.
He's lovable creepy.
And he likes to hear Natalie play. And then we see how Diana's medication has been changed, and it's affecting her mood, causing side effects, including her feeling empty, like nothing.
She just doesn't feel real, basically.
Yeah. And the doctor is like, "Yeah, you're fine. You're good. You're cured. Great job." Which is obviously the smart thing to do.
And which is why he's called Dr. Fine, because he
makes everything seem fine.
Yeah, he definitely makes everything seem fine.
It's not fine. And then we see Natalie and Henry's relationship grow, and Henry confesses his feelings for her, because of course he does.
And a few weeks later, after Henry confesses his feelings, Natalie invites him to a family dinner, and obviously he accepts, and they go together.
Yeah. And Dana has been acting better recently, and Dana's very happy by that, of course, because his wife just seems to not be as depressed and hopeless as she has been recently. Until
Diana comes out of the kitchen with a cake saying something about happy 18th birthday to their son, but the mood immediately changes, gets darker, and Henry says something along the lines of, "I didn't know you had a brother," and Natalie's like, "He died before I was born."
And obviously, this concerns Dan, and he encourages Diana to go back to the doctors to get different medication, just to try to not be thinking her dead son is 18.
Dan attempts to comfort her during a bit of a breakdown, but that's hard to do when I wouldn't say spirit, he's less of a spirit and more of just a hallucination.
Yeah.
But the hallucination of their son is actively haunting her, actively goading her on to get worse. And what's interesting about the way the son is played is the actor in the West End version, Jack Wolf, he plays the son very childish, very immature, and just he crawls around a lot. He's often on the counter because he's acting like the age the actual son was when he died.
Which is what Diana actually remembers of him.
Yes.
Obviously, at this point, we've realized his appearance earlier in the musical wasn't real, and it was all just Diana's hallucination of him.
So after that, we see Natalie in her room, and I believe at first she is talking to Henry, but things change, obviously, And this is where we get the song Superboy and the Invisible Girl, where the son sings louder than Natalie, despite it being Natalie's song, which is obviously an impression of, you know, how she feels invisible,
Yes.
how he seems to overtake her every waking moment.
Even though she's the child that's actually alive.
Even though he's not real.
Yeah. And then, per Dan's request, Diana sees a new doctor, Dr. Madden, which...
As the name suggests,
Dr. Mad.
he only makes things worse. He makes her mad, insane.
And he suggests hypnosis, which she does undergo, and it ends up concerning Dan as her mood just seems... I don't really know how to describe it. Not good.
She's less numb, but she's definitely not.
Not okay.
She's clearly still not okay.
She misses Natalie's piano recital, which obviously heavily affects Natalie because that's something important to her, and it makes her seem like her mom just doesn't care about her at all.
Diana eventually decides to somewhat revisit the memories of her son, and so she starts going through a box of his old things, like toys, blankets, that stuff, which, fun fact moment,
Fun fact.
are
Yippee.
rumored to be like the actual toys belonging to, in the West End version, the actor who played Diana.
Her son.
Her son's toys. Whatever.
And she finds this music box, which causes the ghost hallucination. Some call it a ghost just because he's dead, but it's a hallucination. Of her son to reappear, and he asks her to dance with him and to join him, which leads to her attempting to join him in death as she tries to kill herself.
Obviously, Dan comes home, finds Diana, and she is reasonably hospitalized after that. And the doctors, not really the doctors, more so Dr. Madden alone, he suggests ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy, or otherwise, yeah, easily, in simpler terms, it's called shock therapy, which, yeah, he tells this to Dan, who tries to convince Diana.
Diana is angry at the doctor's suggestion, but Dan is able to calm her down and convince her to accept the treatment, which, fun fact, gives us the song Wish I Were Here, and after Diana says that line, the son is the first to repeat it, which refers to him being a hallucination because he wishes he was here because he's not.
During Diana's electroshock therapy, Natalie begins experimenting with drugs and clubbing not really at Henry's insistence. It was more of at first he suggested it to calm her down, but then obviously that went wrong and she started spiraling. This drug use and all that leads to Natalie acting more and more like Diana subconsciously, because Diana in the beginning was prescribed a whole bunch of meds to try and cope, and Natalie's doing the same thing, but with unprescribed drugs.
Yes. One day, Diana returns from her treatment to discover that she's lost memories from the last 19 years of her life.
It was I believe high school is like back to when she remembers.
Back to before her
That
and
or
Dan had children.
college. I know.
Probably college.
Yeah.
It was like before they had children, and she was like... And then later, Henry confronts Natalie on how she's been ignoring him and is like, yo, what the flip? Obviously, that's exactly what he said. And obviously, the correct mindset here after confronting her about her clear mental issues is to ask her out to the spring dance.
Because a girl definitely wants you to ask her out while her mom is actively going through shock
Yes.
therapy and doesn't remember who she is.
But it works, so.
Apparently. So Diana and Dan go back to the doctor like, hey, where are my memories?
Where'd they go?
And Dr. Madden explains that memory loss is quite normal and suggests that they should try and talk about things, look at things, just visit the past again. And during these scenes in the West End version, up on the stage, there's a room closed off with like a sort of
screen.
Yeah, a sort of somewhat see-through screen, and you can make out the sun's silhouette there, which is meant to imply, hey, he's still in the back of Diana's mind.
He's not fully there, but he's not fully gone. And then, while they're trying to jog the memories and go through the past, Diana finds the music box again. And this triggers all of the memories of her son just all at once.
Obviously, once Diana gets these memories back, Dan, not very helpfully, tries to push her to go back to shock therapy because the son is the one thing he wants to get rid of. He wants his wife to be okay, but he's actively harming her to get there.
Yeah. And then we cut to Henry picking Natalie up for the dance. Oh my god, so fun. But then they see Diana and Dan arguing, which leads to the music box actually being smashed on the floor as Dan tries to take it from Diana. And then Diana goes back to the doctor.
At the doctor, she is reassured that relapsing is common and that she can still recover and that things will be okay. And again, he suggests more ECT, which
she refuses. And then she decides to leave her husband.
Which I think good thing, because while Dan definitely wanted what was good for his wife,
he wasn't doing. She decides to leave him because she doesn't want to continue to just rely on him for everything, for her mental health, and just so she can focus on herself. Which leads to Dan having a little breakdown.
Breakdown finally causes Dan to acknowledge what he's been going through, which is similar to Diana. He's also been seeing their son, but he's been ignoring his own issues in favor of trying to help Diana because she was more
obviously
affected. Yeah. He was able to hide it better.
Yeah.
And she was not.
And he acknowledges his son in this breakdown in the song I Am the One reprise. Jack Wolf's performance is a more childish performance. As we mentioned, it's more of a please don't leave me behind. While in the Broadway performance, Aaron Tveit, it was more you won't get rid of me, more menacing than childlike. The two hug, and the son's name is finally revealed as Gabe. This is the first and only time in the musical that he's addressed by his actual name and more humanized, in my opinion. This is a good thing because it's him kind of getting acceptance with his son's death. And Natalie discovers her father crying on the floor, and she comforts him and she reassures him that they'll work it out.
Which is similar to how Dan used to try and comfort Diana, which I believe could be like a bit of an ominous thing, like, hey, this is not going to go well either.
And that's the plot. That's a musical.
Yay!
Everyone applauds. They get a standing ovation or whatever. I don't know. And now we will talk about the history of the show.
Woo.
It's multiple runs through 2008 to 2024. So 16 years. It's a lot.
To start off, Next to Normal is a 2008 American rock musical with book and lyrics by Brian Yorkey and music by Tom Kitt.
Before its off-Broadway debut, Next to Normal received multiple workshop performances, and before opening on Broadway in April of 2009.
After that, the first U.S. tour launched in November of 2010 and finally concluded in July 2011.
Then the Broadway production closed on January 16th, 2011, after 20 previews and 734 regular performances.
Which is a crazy number.
Yes. I'm just making sure everybody sees it. Yeah, okay, that's it. Bye. Wave.